So we had to be taught that by Moses, by the Most High giving that law and that order to Moses to pass on to the children of Israel. So it became record. That's why we know about the law, statute, and commandment today, because the record was kept. Hey, the scriptures say not one jot and not one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law. We still know about the Sabbath, the Day of Atonement, the Passover. And that's why we're teaching it to the people, because we have that, we going by that record. Just like the Egyptians kept records, just like during the time of the Ptolemaic dynasty, they had built that library among all the dark nations and kept their records. We did the same damn thing. But these records and these dates are not accurate, man. They're approximate dates. All right, go ahead, Ak. Continue reading.
Right. So it says that a decree was made of Cyrus the king to build this house of the Most High at Jerusalem, and let the king send his pleasure to us concerning this matter. And if you notice, the place where they stored these records or these letters, these scrolls, was in the king's treasure house, because record keeping was very crucial. Record keeping was very essential. Very important. It was like gold. But what happens, like when you go back into the history again, when the Babylonians came into the temple, they destroyed the temple. They burnt down the temple. They burnt down the records. They burnt down a lot of the different things that were there. They took the gold and the silver and all that, and certain things of value, but other stuff they burnt down. Now when you go up in the further up in the future, you had what you call it, the Arch of Titus, or the Ark of Titus, which is a commemoration of what the Romans did through the Flavian dynasty, of when they destroyed Jerusalem again in 70 AD. And they commemorated them pillaging the temple again. And that's something that's still standing to this very day. But going back almost 2,000 years ago. But now that doesn't count. That's nothing, right? You people out there are bugged out, man. But really, you know what? Really, that the Lord has blinded your minds. That's really what it goes back to. And He allowed the so-called white man to do a number on you. But these records are written in the scriptures, and then you have records that are actually written outside of the scriptures. Because you have the term Mesha Stele, or the Moabite stone, that was named after a Moabite king by the name of Mesha, which is mentioned in the scriptures.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, okay. This is from a book, which Yeshaya don't even got this book. High Priest Yeshaya. And don't try to get this book. It's called the New International Dictionary of Biblical Archaeology. All right? I'll say it again. Yeshaya don't got this book. Anyway, I went to the section where it's a lot. There's a lot in here, man. It's under the headline Archaeology Historical Survey. It says, of this survey of two centuries of archaeology, covers in broad outline the major events in the widening history and scope of biblical archaeology. Now, why would the so-called white man go to the Middle East and go dig up things? They did it to confirm whether the Bible is true or not, man. That's why you had scientists and archaeologists go over there to Mount Ararat, to Turkey, to try to confirm whether there was such a thing called an ark, because they're trying to see if the Bible is true based upon evidence. Okay? Same thing with they use the same techniques, archaeological digs, along with their scientists and their historians, and they dug up things in Egypt. You see? Now, when you they give you a chronicle of the digs that they did when they got to where their archaeologists came together. Like it says in 1717, it said the Society of Antiquaries was set up in London. That's where the white man stays at, lives, and may be regarded as the beginning of archaeology. That was in 1717 A.D. Anno Domini, year of our Lord. The society received a royal charter in 1751 and issued its first volume of Archaeologia in 1770. It says in 17, I'm not going to read all of them, just a couple of them. Oh, let me jump to this one. It says in 1799, it speaks about the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone with the trilingual inscription. And that was in the glyphs, Demotic and Greek. Because when during the time of the Ptolemaic dynasty, Ptolemy the First, Soter and his son, that's when they wanted the ancient Egyptian tongue or language or characters or hieroglyphs. They wanted them translated into the Greek, and that's how these so-called white archaeologists were able to decipher the hieroglyphs. And then you had another language of Egypt, which is for the commoners, and it looked nothing like the glyphs that when you go to a museum and you see those glyphs, hieroglyphs. That was called Demotic, and then it was translated into the Greek tongue. So what happened? Well, it was the Edomites, which at that time were called the kings. The kings, or the king was called Ptolemy Soter, and his son Ptolemy Philadelphus. And what they did was they took over the so-called Egyptians, the so-called Kemet people, if you will. And basically they said, okay, we're going to have your language translated into our language. Just like the scriptures, the Old Testament being written in Hebrew, it was you needed somebody that understood Hebrew, or so-called Hebrew, and English to translate one thing from another. If you take something written in Spanish, if you don't know how to read Spanish, you need somebody that knows how to read and write and speak Spanish and English in order to translate it. It's not hard. It's simple. So it says here in 1799, the Rosetta Stone. Gabar, look up Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone with the trilingual inscription that provided the key to the decipherment. Do you know what the word decipherment means? The meaning of the word decipher, it means cipher is circle. D means to break the circle or undo the circle. You look at the glyphs, in order for you to understand the hieroglyphs, you need somebody to break it down. You need another language that you understand. Lost my place. Okay, it says the trilingual inscription that provided the key to the decipherment of Egyptian hieroglyphs was discovered in August, excuse me, 1799, while the French were repairing fortification. It says end of the town of Rosetta, or north of the town of Rosetta. The name of a certain Balsard is associated with the find, but whether he was an officer of the engineers who died in 1812, General Baron A.J. Balsard, or a sapper of the same name who actually unearthed the stone talking about the Rosetta Stone, is not clear.